Welcome to Shift, an exclusive podcast by DSN. I'm your host, Blake Mallen, and this is where high-performing entrepreneurs and experts share their most powerful shifts in mindset, skill set, and strategy to help you accelerate your business and amplify your impact. I challenge you to be present, open your mind, and let the shift begin. Welcome to Shift. I'm your host, Blake Mallen, and last week's conversation with Brian Carruthers was an absolute masterclass. I'm going to be honest, I've gotten the messages, I've seen your DMs. So many people are saying that has been one of, if not the most valuable guest conversations we have had on the show to date. It was so awesome to have Brian's 25 years of personal and financial growth and experience inside the direct selling channel with us. He shared his story, starting with a traditional real estate, family-run business background, making the leap into direct selling and what it took through commitment, through sacrifice to go achieve life-altering results and position himself today as one of the industry's top recruiters and leaders. His numbers, cumulatively, what he's done for people and communities around the world is absolutely staggering and inspiring. A successful author on a number of books in the category. And we had him, unfiltered, real, raw, emotional, on the show with us last week. So many key moments in our conversation. I love how Brian really gave us practical, transformational questions that, if applied, can totally revolutionize your recruiting and elevate your leadership game. He really gave this feeling of going beyond just the profits and aligning your business with purpose, something that can create true fulfillment and meaning around impact. Really, this current theme on resilience we've been having on the show, such an important topic today. And Brian gave his perspective on how to turn those setbacks into growth opportunities to really navigate the entrepreneurial challenges we all face like an absolute pro. The commitment to growth, he gave us his foundation of his growth mindset, amazing resources. And I love how he broke down just kind of like trust hacks, like simple strategies that you can use to earn and build trust and relationships almost instantly, like simple stuff you could apply. And also how to empower a team, essential formulas to cultivate people within your community, and what it takes to combine these lasting principles with the rapid velocity and pace of technology today to stay relevant and ahead, and all through just this lens of, let's call it legacy thinking, long-term legacy thinking, not about just the quick gains, just the success of today or this week, but building a true legacy that leaves a lasting impact. He's done it, and he shared with us how to do it. So if you missed the entire episode, definitely go back and listen, watch. It might be one you want to do 2 or 3 times. Now, today, we have our shift summary. It's you and I. I love our time together. This is important. It's not just about hearing these absolutely revolutionary conversations that can collapse your time on the way to your goals and then moving on to the next thing the next week. We got to absorb. Have this go from just listening and learning to knowing and applying. That's why we're here, to help you go to your next level, to access that rich life, rich in, yes, monetary and financial rewards, but beyond that, freedom and fulfillment on the path that you're on. So I want to talk about 3 shifts that I thought were absolute game changers that Brian gave us in our conversation. Starting with shift number 1, going from driven to pulled. I love the way he gave us this shift, really around how true fulfillment in entrepreneurship comes from shifting your focus from being merely driven by personal ambitions to really being pulled by a greater purpose that inspires you and gives you the energy to inspire those around you. So when Brian talked about being driven, what he really meant was referring to that motivation that comes from external factors, personal ambitions, financial goals, the desire to win, right? Or be recognized. We talked about the cars and the Rolex, all those things. And that is okay. This type of motivation can be the fuel to hard work and consistency that, quite honestly, is what pushes a lot of people up their first or second mountain. But there's a difference in energy from being driven from behind and being pulled to a greater vision. He talked about how being pulled, it really indicates like this deeper internal motivation that stems from a greater purpose or a connection to a personal mission. And how individuals, when we're pulled by a vision larger than ourselves, it not only gives you energy in the short term, it creates a more sustainable and fulfilling fuel long term. And it's not about that one's better or the other, or one's right or wrong. It really is about being aware of what moves you. And it's okay to combine both these forces, right? Brian shared his story about how he was driven for most of his career. And only recently has he been really shifted to this pulled by a greater vision. And external goals, money, success, they can push you forward. But I love how he really opened our awareness to how a compelling mission can really pull you to even a more significant purpose and higher levels. And it might be that second piece that gives you the long-term success. But in the meantime, the point is find the balance that moves you right now in the season that you're in, whether it is that driven for something that you have in front of you, that's okay. Or it is that seeking or that finding of a vision or a mission that's going to pull you to your next level. It's about finding your fuel to make that impact. So practical steps. How do we apply this? What can we do with this insight we got from Brian? Well, let's talk about, number one, maybe just defining what your core mission is. Have you taken the time to reflect? Have you written down? Have you journaled what truly drives you beyond the financial success? That's the obvious. Go deeper. Peel back the layers. What is your mission statement? What is your purpose? What words give you energy, that feeling, that fire that lights you up? You got to spend time with yourself. You got to ask yourself the questions, and you got to go from thought to the pen on the paper and write this stuff down. There's power when it goes to language. But in order to align, we have to be aware of what that mission and purpose is. And then after we have that, number two, well, let's incorporate that into our daily activities. This isn't a future thing. It's not a when-then thing. It's not a, wait and see thing. It's a now thing. How can you incorporate that mission, that purpose into daily activities? That might be connecting with your team or your customers on a deeper level, having personal conversations. It might be sharing your purpose and your mission with others. It might be listening to the stories of the people whose lives you're impacting through your efforts, and how what you're sharing, your product, your service, your opportunity can genuinely improve their circumstance and situation, focusing on the relationships and the meaning. How can you incorporate that higher, deeper mission, purpose into your daily methods of operations? And lastly, set goals around that mission. Yes, it's good. You can have, and you should have, clear, actionable, tangible goals to reflect your financial targets, your ranks, your rewards. That stuff's good. That's important. But it might also be smart to have goals around your mission. Maybe you aim to help a certain number of people, or create a certain amount of transformations, or help a certain amount of families achieve their goals in your business. What goals can you create that are more purposeful, a bigger picture? And celebrate those achievements every single day. And they don't gotta be everybody. Just start with somebody. The power of one is where all this begins. So let's make the shift. Now, the second shift that hit me hard from our conversation with Brian was the conversation around how net worth is greater than net income. I've never heard anybody say that so succinctly, and I don't know about you, but that was like a whoa moment. Shifting your focus from measuring your quote-unquote success just by your net income, how most of us look at it, let's be honest, to prioritizing the growth of your net worth and how that's the true measure of financial health long term. Now, I know those are financial terms, so let's just clarify. When Brian's talking about net income, he's talking about the amount of income earned through your businesses, your endeavors, your ventures. But net worth is defined as the total assets you own, minus any liabilities you might have. And those are two different numbers. And he really was echoing to us the value of, let's call it financial stewardship. How wealth is not just about how much money you make. It's actually about how much you save and how much you invest and how much those investments are able to grow. So I love that perspective of thinking about the whole picture and how we can turn the income we're generating from maybe your side gig or your part-time business right now and how over time that can compound into building that net worth goal. He gave us a framework of how to look at investing for those that are beginning. He called it 10-10-80, where you can just take all the income you're making and immediately put aside 10% to charitable causes. That can be church or spiritual organizations or causes, whatever moves you. Invest 10% into future growth, things that can grow and compound, and that leaves the 80% that you can live your lifestyle on today. And you can start that now, regardless of where your income number is at. Even if you're making a few $100s a month or working up to even that number today through your business, you can adopt this foundational discipline 10-10-80 and set the foundation for long-term success. Now, don't misunderstand me, because if you're like me, hearing Brian going, ooh, because I did the math in my head and I was like, man, my net income was a lot more than what my net worth is today. There's some hard lessons there, but that's okay. We can take this direction as vision and aspiration and immediately start today. So practical steps, how do we make this shift? Well, start by maybe creating a budget and tracking expenses. It's not about just what we make. It's about what we save. Living within your means puts you on that track to then number 2, maybe adopt the 10-10-80. Adopt the 10-10 immediately with the income right now. You can start however small. It's about building the muscle and taking the steps. And with that 10%, start investing into assets, investments, whatever that means for you, whether it's stock or saving for real estate or other assets. It's about building the muscle of investing in things that can grow over time. And that's how we get to that equation where our net worth can be greater than our net income. And we can start right now to make that shift. Now, the last shift I want to talk about really is around legacy leadership. Now, that word leadership has so many different meanings today. People kind of throw that term around and maybe even use it in context that isn't really what leadership should be about. But I love how Brian taught us how to shift into leadership by giving us a framework. 3 tiers, 3 things we can work on and really aspire to be. Number 1, he talked about becoming the leader that people want to join. This is about establishing yourself as someone who embodies the qualities and values that others admire. It's about becoming the person that people want to join. This is about recruiting efforts, showing integrity, approachability. Brian gave us some amazing, simple tactics on how to engage and how to listen and words that work. We got to become the person and the leader that people want to join. So that then number 2, we can focus on becoming the leader that people want to follow. Now, that's a different set of skills than joining. To get people who want to follow where you're going, you need to demonstrate an effectiveness and provide value to people. Value in business, value in life. And this really gets to the heart of leading by example. Leadership is always by example. People want to watch and follow versus listen and hear. So how can we become a person that people want to follow? Which means we got to share and be visible in not just our successes, but the challenges we're going through and how we're overcoming them. And lastly, number 3, so we can develop other leaders. The final step is focusing on mentoring and empowering select people in your team to raise them up, learning that it's essential to identify and teach and empower others in business and the skills that it takes to really become a leader and foster an environment that people want to follow. I love that. Simple things. Become the leader people want to join. Become the leader people want to follow. And develop other leaders. So practically, what can we do to move in this direction, to make this shift? Well, how about number 1, maybe just cultivate some personal relationships. It starts there. Taking the time, creating the space to build genuine relationships with your prospects, your customers, your team members. Maybe that means scheduling some one-on-one check-ins, asking about their goals, their why, their mission, their purposes, the challenges they're going through, the successes that they're having. Show them that you care. Starts with relationship as a foundation, and then giving value for them to follow. Number 2, leading by example. That is what you are doing by being here, listening to and learning from the best and applying these shifts so you can lead by example to your team, setting goals for yourself, implementing the things we're talking about, and sharing that publicly and visibly with your group so people can just follow your footsteps. And as your community starts to grow, maybe number 3, consider implementing a mentor program. Who is it you're looking to pour time into? It's not going to be anybody and everybody, but who is it that you're looking for? What traits are you looking for? What personalities or characteristics are you looking for? And how do you meet them where they are to help level them up? Who are you mentoring? And what does that look like within your team so you can develop others? So there you have it. 3 shifts that we can focus on from our conversation with Brian Carruthers. Are we driven or are we pulled right now? And how do we use that power? Let's have an aspiration or a vision to have our net worth be greater than our net income and start applying the foundational principles today. And let's focus on becoming the leader that's in you, that you're capable of being with the 3-tier leadership framework that Brian gave us. Guys, that conversation was absolutely epic. These shifts that I gave you today, I know can make a meaningful impact. You can find us on all the platforms, shiftpodcast.com, for not only Brian's full conversation, but all of our past conversations. Are you caught up? Have you listened to all of these? It is an absolute masterclass that can save you so much time on accelerating your business, amplifying your impact, and growing your legacy within your team. So follow the show wherever you love to follow. You can listen in all the places, Spotify, Apple, Audible, or watch us on YouTube. The team is doing a great job on all those videos. Love seeing the traction on all the platforms. So subscribe and follow, and make sure you're on the email newsletter, shiftpodcast.com. Fill it out right there. We'll give you reminders as we drop new episodes every Monday, because we are here to help you grow as a person, so you can expand your ripple and the impact you're making. And we raise the level of consciousness and success across this channel. We're all in this together. Hopefully today's conversation impacted you. And if it did, all I ask is, hey, a shift is a gift. Share this with someone that you know that's on a direct selling journey today, so they too can raise their level of awareness and make the shifts to go to a whole next level on their journey as well. Now, I'll let you know on Monday, another new guest episode coming. This is totally different than any conversation we have had on the show to date. Honored to have a guest with over 30 years, 3 decades of experience in the direct selling industry, starting from a very different place than any of our prior guests. Humble beginnings is an understatement. And hearing her personal journey and story is not only inspiring, it is empowering and a true example of what's possible. I promise you, it'll be an entirely different conversation and hit you on a whole new level. So subscribe to the show on the platforms, turn on your alarms, and tune in Monday to welcome a brand new guest. Until then, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you, and let's make the shift.